Hello! Hi guys! Welcome back to One Man's Junk. Alright guys, so we have a really interesting action figure identification coming up. I've got a few obscure and lesser known accessories featured in the special, so maybe you'll learn something along the way. We've got some really great finds of the day. These are some finds that I've been saving for the last few weeks here, which I'll be delighted to go over with you. But just before we do that, we've got our general finds, and there's a little sweet surprise in the general finds, so stay tuned. Alright, so let's do these general finds. So first up, we have another one for the army. It is an Arco Otherworld companion figure. These are the Gyps and the Mogs, which sounds terrible, but believe me, I'm only talking about these little guys here. And I'll show you a little photo of my army right now. It is coming along nicely. Alright, and next up, we have this Kenner Swamp Thing. It's Dr. Demo. Yes, that's how much I paid for him, $5. Now the reason I'm showing him off is because I just thought it would be fun. He was $5, but as you can see, the card here, the bubble, sorry, it's all cracked and broken. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip him open, and I'm going to have a brand new mint Dr. Demo, and even better, I'm going to have an extra Swamp Thing Voodoo doll. So give me one moment. Can't beat that fresh action figure smell, guys. It's so funny. This is a figure that I have handled hundreds of times. I've literally had dozens upon dozens of them, but I've never had one that was box fresh, and I gotta say, it really is so different when you have a figure that's box fresh as opposed to one that's been played with a million times. Here's another great general find. So this is Mask Kenner. It's from the Racing series, which I believe is the third series. This is called Billboard Blast. Now, it's one of my favorite finds from the last few weeks just because I only paid $3 for it. It is incomplete, but when I opened it up, it still got both missiles. So that was definitely a nice little pickup. Here's another one for the collection. So this, of course, is Tonka Rock Lords. This is, I believe they're called Gnarlies. I'm not really a fan of them. This is only the second one I have, and I gotta tell you, it's really putting a dampener on my Rock Lord collection because I don't really see what this has to do with Rock Lords.
Meet the attack beasts of the good and evil Rock Lords. Rock Gnarlies and Rock Lords sold separately, new from...
Yeah, I'm not really a fan. But I am a fan of this. Wow, look at that. So I have had one of these before. I had it in the box. Unfortunately, it sold. I say unfortunately because I really liked it. But I think I'm going to be keeping this one. I'm going to put it on the shelf with my Swamp Thing playset. It really is such a cool little playset. Of course, it's Beetlejuice. It is Kenner. It's the classic magic trick. You know, you put the figure in, you close it, you turn the hatch, and then the figure's disappeared. But the reason I like it so much is, you see this kind of green shade on that? It really catches when you have that UV light. It really reflects just like the Toxic Crusader figures. So definitely a really cool little playset. Guys, it's time for that sweet little surprise I had mentioned. So I was out hunting, decided to take a little break, went to the mall with my brother, and wouldn't you believe, what did I find? It is a brand, or should I say a bar of Slimer chocolate or candy. And well, we're gonna try it, and I'm gonna let you know if it's any good. So bear with me here. Guys, this looks really dodgy, or as they say here, really sketchy. This is actually reminding me of the Leaky Lindsay Garbage Pail Kids chocolate bar that I did try a few months ago. Let's see. Okay, alright. Wow. Okay, so I've definitely eaten worse things. I have had worse things for dinner, but that's really bad. I would avoid that. They did have a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man marshmallow chocolate bar, so we'll try that next episode. But that ectoplasmic residue, I gotta say, I think if you tried ectoplasmic residue, it'd probably taste just like that. Welcome back to Action Figure Identification. This one I picked up a few weeks ago. It took me a little while to identify it, and I just found it by chance. There was something about it that kind of screamed to me that this is interesting, and I was right. It actually belongs to Kenner Gargoyles, and it's for the motorbike. And the reason it did look familiar is because it kind of reminded me of the Goliath stone armor feature. So that is quite an interesting little piece. Okay, these ones are quite odd. Now, you may recognize the chain, and in fact, I've left the chain in here as a kind of clue. Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, it is in fact Hasbro Small Soldiers. Now, the little chain here, there was 2 of them that was packaged with the figure. Those were packaged with Insaniac. And the 2 limbs here, if you have a look, you see they pop off? Yep, so there was actually 2 versions of that figure. I believe that's to the more common version, and that of course is Freakenstein. Alright, I've definitely mentioned this line before. It is a very obscure line. It's from Kenner, it is vintage, and it belongs to none other than Bone Age. So I need to look it up and we'll see exactly which dinosaur that belonged to. But in the meantime, I can give you a few little clues. If you see here these connectors, this kind of like clear plastic, that helps me to establish indeed belong to Bone Age, not Battle Bones Masters of the Universe. Hello, that's quite a rare one. So if you don't know, you don't know, but if you do, that is from Kenner Star Wars Princess Leia, and it's for the 12-inch Princess Leia that was released in the late 70s. So that is actually quite a good piece. It's the belt. Now this one here might be bugging you. You might say, oh, I know it, I just can't put my finger on it. Well, that's because it's not all there, as we say back home. That was in fact packaged with LJN, Thundercats, Monkeyin. It is his mace, but as I said, it's not all there. We're missing the ball at the end and of course the chain. That is just the handle. So here's a sword that you don't see too often, not particularly rare or valuable, but still pretty cool. It is Mattel. It is He-Man, but it's the new adventures of He-Man, and it's not the original version. I think it's the second or the third version, the one that was more muscle bound. Okay, here's 2 really nice obscure ones. So these are actually from the mid-90s, released by Playmates, and it's for action figures that were made in regard to a video game. It's for Primal Rage Playmates. This is a really good one. So you've probably seen this piece before. You may even own this piece. It took me a while to figure it out, so I'm happy to help you and tell you that this is actually from Mattel Street Sharks Killamari. Here's a nice silly one. Again, very obscure. This one is also Playmates, but it was packaged with Coneheads, Dan Aykroyd. This is a really cool one. I had a feeling I knew what it was when I picked it up. The scale seemed off, but I was absolutely spot on. This is from Playmates, and it is Tailspin. Alright, and here's one of my favorite types of accessories. It could be an action figure accessory, or it could just be a random piece of plastic for some kind of household object. Well, I can tell you it is in fact an action figure accessory. It was packaged with Tyco Dino Riders, and it would clip onto the tail of one of the Rulon dinosaurs. Okay, and finally, we're gonna end on some mystery accessories. So these are accessories that I've actually had for a while, and I misidentified or mislabeled them, or perhaps just threw them in a bin until I did identify them. So I'm happy to share my findings with you here. So this green missile launcher here is really cool. Due to the scale and size, kind of thought it was Mighty Max. Well, I'm happy to say it's not. It's Playmates Skeleton Warriors. This sword, dagger, knife here, I wrongly assumed it was just a knockoff of no importance. However, that is also from Small Soldiers, and it was packaged with a special edition of Chip. These ones, I really should have known them, but for some reason I had them living in my Ninja Turtle accessory bin. These were actually packaged with Janine from Kenner Real Ghostbusters. Alright guys, it's that time again. It's time for Finds of the Day. Alright folks, so my first favorite find is something that you're probably thinking should have featured in action figure identification. Well, it's something that I don't usually come across too often, so I just figured I'd just go ahead and show it off. So, as you may or not be aware, I do actually look out for these guys. These are Snailians. They are from mid-90s. It is pure 90s magic. It fits right in with that trash bag bunch. Z-Bots collection, you know, it's like the right size, right scale, right colors. But here's the thing, is you've probably seen these kind of guys before. These do come up, they're fairly common. But what's not common is the accessories for the Snailians. So first of all, I have a file card, so that's really cool. You don't find those too often. I found 2 sets of armor, which you do tend to come across. These aren't as rare, but what is rare is that you'll notice that there's little pegs. They do tend to break off, unfortunately. Luckily, these haven't. You've got these here as well. So you may have a few of these sitting in your accessory bins. You're not really sure what that is. Well, these were actually packaged with the Snailians, and they go over the fists, like so, almost like fireballs. So that's really cool. And as you can see, I did find quite a few, so it looks like my set's going to be almost complete. And then finally, the icing on the cake has to be the little companion guy. So this little companion, again, is packaged with the Snailian, and is pretty hard to come by just because it's very easily lost. So there you go guys, so you're used to seeing that and thinking, yes, that's a Snailian, and you're right, it is. But that's a Snailian, how cool is that? If you do follow the channel, you may remember I did a little feature on select converters, specifically the spies, just because I'd found a Select Man, which is like a Walkman robot droid. Well, that leads me into this find, which is of course Zoom. Again, from the same series, Select Converter. He is a spy, and again, I just love it so much just because it is designed to be like this kind of little mini replica. I mean, it's even got lenses, don't get me wrong. They don't work, they don't magnify, but it still looks really good. And of course, the best part is, yes, he's a pair of binoculars, but he is also... So that's him right there. What a cool little toy. That is Select Converter Spy, and that is Zoom. So he will certainly be joining my little collection of Select Converters. What a lovely little piece. Funny story actually, I actually picked him up from the same person who sold me the Select Man. So I'm hoping if I pick up another piece, I'll know his name and I'll give him a proper shout out. Alright, these next 2 finds here aren't particularly rare, but they are pretty valuable. Well, to me anyway. These 2 here are vintage Masters of the Universe iron-on patches, and the reason they're so valuable to me is because I'm going to mail them out to my little nephew, and I cannot wait to see his face when his new sweater or cap is now a Masters of the Universe cap or sweater. So these finds of the day, they are fun, they are great, but let's get down to my real favorite finds. So first of all, we have this fella here, just in case, you know, you're going to a fancy event, you can't find your tie clip, you get your Skeletor clip on here, holds your tie in place. Then if you're trying to send out a message, you know, you're trying to let the ladies know that you're not interested, you're not looking, time for the Skeletor zipper clipper. Yes, that's right. So they did make one of these in a He-Man mold as well. And what does this do? Well, you just clip it on your zipper. Alright folks, so feeling pretty good about myself. Feeling pretty snazzy with my Skeletor clip on here and my zipper clipper. But there is more. You might remember I mentioned a few episodes ago that I was very happy and very fortunate enough to find a New Adventures of He-Man Power Sword. This chap right here. Well, what could possibly be better than that? Nothing, but almost as good. I got the shield, so it's actually a nice little New Adventures set here. Might grow my hair and dye it peroxide, you know, for Halloween, doing New Adventures of He-Man. Guys, thanks again Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again. Bye now.